Hello. Today we're going to take a look at the role of Islam as we continue our conversation about ancient globalization. And we really want to see how this religion became a force to unite peoples as well as spread ideas through the trade that was fostered as a result of it. We're going to start off in the Middle East, where we understand the religion has its foundations. And in a later unit we will be looking at religions very specifically and how they affect history. But just understand now that Muhammad was the founder of the faith. He is considered the faith's main prophet, and that some of the ideas behind the faith are intertwined in what we're about to discuss concerning how they manage their empire. Note that the early caliphs of this empire that would be built, of course, by Muhammad and later passed down to other leaders, that they all had a similar goal, and that was to unite their people. Again, the differences of the region had been long-standing, but they were able to unite under one force of a religious faith. The first caliph to follow Muhammad, Abu Bakr, in my Eastern North Carolina accent, is going to use the term jihad, or the force of jihad, as a means of expansion. Today we hear that word for a variety of conversations as around the world, and its political meanings as well as its religious meanings. But understand that during this time period, this was kind of a new concept. By 750, the empire stretches from the Atlantic Ocean to the Indus Valley. So this is a rather large stretch of territory here that the Muslim empire is going to be in control of. People would often, when the Muslim armies would march into an area, be welcoming them because of their experiences with other empires that had been persecutors of them through religion. The Christians of the Byzantine Empire were not very friendly to people who had different ideas of religion than them, and the Sassanids with their Zoroastrianism were not necessarily all that welcoming either. They led a message that said of hope and equality, and that's going to be very attractive. Power is going to split, of course, as time goes on. We see in our notes here the Umayyads are going to come to power and move the capital. And then disagreement is going to bring more dissension. So as time goes on, very often you're going to see that people have different ideas on how to run the show and who claims power and who doesn't claim power. Over time, we're going to see that dissension is going to break this faith into different groups. The Shia as well, which is the party of Ali. And then, of course, the people who would follow the Umayyads would be following the sect of Sunni in the Islamic faith. Important for our conversation here is that despite these divisions, all the caliphites are connected in religion, language, and trade. They all had a similar purpose there. There were two major sea trading networks available at this time. On the Mediterranean Sea, which would be to the west and the north of this empire, and then to the east, the Arabian Sea. They're in the middle of all of that, so they're going to be capable of accessing the wealth that's going to transition out of that. As these cities along these trade routes grow and more money begins to flow, you're going to see that that banking is going to be definitely something that's going to have its roots in this region, managing the money there. They're also going to be centers of culture, something that we've seen in other studies of historical empires in the past. With that, we're going to go now to Africa and see that a little bit later on in time that empires here are going to develop in West Africa particularly through trade. The Ghana Empire from 700 to 1000 is going to connect the goods of that rich continent of Africa with the Middle East and the rest of the known world. And this is going to be available because of the Berber nomads who would trade across the hot sands of the Sahara. West Africa is very rich in gold and other resources which would be acquired through this trade. Islam is going to spread to and through this region, it says, in northern Africa through conquest, and it's going to reach the sub-Saharan Africa where these empires are through trade. You want to be like the people who you're making money with, because you feel like that gives you a connection that the relationship will continue. So as these traders who had adopted Islam are going to come into sub-Saharan Africa, these empires are going to follow suit, and they're going to see the benefits of having a similar fate there. It says by 1235, Mali will emerge as the main empire of the Western African trade empires, and they will be dominant by the 14th century, yet in decline by the 15th century. Notice how they turn to bureaucracy and they centralize their government. Again, something we've seen time and again in empires being long-lasting and being powerful. The leaders here were Muslim. They built mosques. They supported the teachings of Islam. And probably the most famous of them would be Mansa Musa, who ruled for about 20 years. Again, went on a Hajj in order to execute his faith, that pilgrimage journey there to Mecca. Notice also that he divided the empire into provinces. Something we've seen when empires get really large, the leaders will divide those empires up into provinces for better management. And then who can help connect all of these components? None other than the great world traveler. There you go, you can see traveler. Ibn Battuta, who is a source of information that helps not only spread the word about these different peoples, but also transition ideas from continent to continent. So that's all for today, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks.